Hi there, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. This is a new project and it's a slightly different format of project because this is not really a full restoration. This is a redo. And what do I mean by redo? Well, let me explain what happened here. I often get subscribers or viewers of the channel asking me whether I'll restore their radios for them. My answer is usually no. I live on the island of Madeira. It's isolated. It's fabulous, but it is isolated. And getting stuff here has two problems. One is the cost of shipping. We have a very, very expensive shipping system in Portugal. The option really is the postal service, and that is expensive enough. If we go for DHL or FedEx or anything like that, you pay an absolute fortune. So I normally say no. And the other thing is I normally only do my own projects. This is a hobby, and when I say my own projects, I do include friends and friends of friends because they do tend to spread the word. And I've done an enormous number of restorations that aren't actually mine, as you've probably picked up if you watch the channel regularly. But this one was actually a viewer, a subscriber from mainland Portugal. So a countryman of mine, and I don't want to discriminate, but the only reason I considered this, well, there were two really. One was I'd never done one of these. I've done Graetz before. I'd never done one of these Graetz minis. And this is a small thing. This is like that Telefunken Jubilate that I did. And I love these small radios. I really do. So I got really interested when he asked me to look at this. And the other reason is that he said he would pay the shipping. And in fact, from mainland Portugal to the island of Madeira, it's not that crazy. Oh, it's still expensive. It's still expensive. Considering things like DHL Packet International from Germany, where I pay about 30-40 bucks for a huge radio to be shipped by DHL. This thing is about 20-25 bucks just one way from mainland Portugal to Madeira. Remember, we're in the same country, but we pay because of our sunshine quota. We get more sun than they do, so they make us pay. Anyway, this thing arrived, and he told me that he'd actually had this thing looked at. So somebody actually did a restoration on this before. I believe what he asked them for was to check for caps, so basically a recapping, and not much else, I don't think. But he had a problem, and I noticed this string seems to be new. Not much else apparently was done, and he has a problem. He gets FM pretty well. This thing has got FM, shortwave, medium wave, and long wave, and obviously the tone. The pickup or tape input. The switch is here. So we have an on-off switch over here. We've got a ferrite antenna. This is the tone control over here. And you can actually activate the ferrite antenna by pulling the switch out. It says here, what is that? Knopf ziehen. Okay, that probably means pull knob out. Okay. And then here we've got tuning for the AM bands and tuning for the FM at the bottom. So those all seem to be operational, and he says that FM picks up very well. What he does say is that on AM, beyond a certain point, it picks up nothing. So I think, I suspect maybe there's something wrong with the oscillator. Sometimes all you need is a capacitor to be out or a resistor to be out, and as soon as it gets to a certain frequency, the oscillator shuts down. That could happen. And that would be something we can look at. But anyway, the point is this thing is apparently almost working, and his words were, I hope I'm quoting him correctly, he wants me to do my magic on it. Now, I'm flattered. I really am. I never thought I was a magician, so I'm flattered. I actually just think that I've got a pretty methodical method. I sometimes follow through my method regardless of the state of the project. And sometimes it's a waste of time, but because this is a hobby, it's not a waste of time. It's always something that gives me a lot of pleasure. So I'm going to be looking at this and seeing what is wrong with this. I want to look on the underside because I haven't actually had a close look. I've seen new capacitors. I want to have a close look and see what sort of job was done here. This is a very nice looking radio. There are a few sort of dings on the cabinet which we can sort out because it's painted Bakelite, or part of it is painted Bakelite. So it's fairly easy to restore. And as far as this is concerned, this is very easy to clean up. It'll look really magnificent once it's done. There was one problem when I opened this. Well, I started telling there were two problems with shipping. One of them is the cost, and the other one is that damage can get done when this thing gets shipped, no matter how well you pack it. And this is the case in point. There's a clip that goes on here that clips from there to there, and it holds this cover down. And this thing arrived like this. So that clip has disappeared. It may be somewhere on the radio. I'll have to sort of shake it out and see if I can find it. But that clip has disappeared, and that cover was completely loose. I don't think anything was damaged in there, but we'll just have to see. But I have to find a way of, clipping this down just like this one here. As you can see, there's a little inverted steel clip that goes on here and holds this down. This is a great way of doing it. I like it because it's a lot easier than unscrewing stuff from the bottom, as we did in a recent project. Real pain to get this thing out. So that's one of the things I found. Other than that, I don't think there's any damage. I don't believe there is any damage. Let's look on the underside. But before we carry on, I just want to say thank you to our sponsors for this video. It's PCBWay. And you should visit their website. They're running the PCB big sales for Christmas. And if you need any of the services, there's certainly a lot on offer right now. If you go to the website, you'll see the Christmas coupons, a lot of discounts depending on the value of your orders, special offers, a lucky draw, and you can get some more coupons if you invite a friend to join. So visit the website and help our sponsors who help us. Looking at it from here, we see a few things. There certainly have been capacitors replaced. Those are all the caps that have been replaced. And they're very similar to the one series of caps that I use. I believe they're Panasonic's or something similar. They're pretty good caps, and I think in this radio they look perfect. You could also put the yellow ones, but I actually think these look better on here. And I'm just looking at the job that was done. I'm just looking at these solder joints. It's a pretty good job. Whoever did this did a very good job of recapping this thing. I mean, look at that. These things have been bent properly. The solder joints look very good. I like the job he's done. He's got a couple of film caps down here, other film caps, those tubular ones. I think they've done a very, very good job of recapping it. That electrolytic is a Rubicon, so they've used good quality components. I'm just having a close look to see if anything else sticks out. Not really. I think they've done a hell of a good job on this. I can see nothing that stands out here as being a hack. So whoever did this, well done. Well done. I'm impressed. I noticed that the selenium rectifier is still intact. So they didn't change the rectifier. This is not a criticism. I mean, I've left some behind as well. In this case, I probably would consider replacing it. I would probably consider stuffing this. I've still got to think about it. I'll probably restuff this one because these stuff quite nicely. This is a full wave rectifier. It looks really good in place as it is, so I'll probably restuff it. I've just got to make sure it wasn't done because whoever did this job did a very good job, so they might have actually done it. I've got to make sure that I'm not redoing work that's been done already. This is not going to affect the reception on that half of the band, but we'll check the voltages and see whether we need to do anything about this and maybe replace that. We've got space here for a voltage dropping resistor if we need to. Let me carry on looking at this for a while. Okay, I've found one component, one capacitor, one paper capacitor that he hasn't replaced, and it's here by the antenna. So this is probably not critical, but I'd still replace that. It seems to be pretty grotty. I think he might have just overlooked that because this thing is quite well hidden away here. But yeah, that's basically all I need to look at. So the way I see it, the way forward will be for me to, I'll check some voltages. I'll put this thing on the isolation transformer and the dim bulb tester. Test reception, confirm that that's acting up the way he said it was. Check some voltages, and I'll report back as soon as I've got something to tell you. Okay, let me carry on. Right, I'm going to test the B+. I'm going to test reception and B+ at the same time. I've got the multimeter measuring the output from the rectifier, which I believe is still a selenium rectifier. I have this connected to the dim bulb tester, and I'm going to switch that on. There's only one light bulb, so 40 watts limit, very, very limited. Let's see what we get here. The 40-watt bulb is glowing. I've got this on FM and I've got an antenna at the back. We're supposed to get 255 and we're getting 250, but that's not something to rely on because there's a lot of limitation and the tubes are still warming up, but it is picking up. Let me give it more juice, reduce the limit. We don't seem to have any shorts, so I'm going to bypass the dim bulb.
Música e imagens entre o pianista e o compositor Samuel Gap e a artista visual Ence. Peças para piano ilustram fotografias. Ali Alemanha.
Not bad at all. This thing's picking up an 88 station below 87.5, so it's slightly misaligned in terms of the RF alignment, but it's picking up quite well. A little bit distorted, but remember that thing came loose, so it could be to do with that as well. Let's try medium wave. I'll just put on the mini whip antenna and see what we get. Okay, we got it on medium wave. Mini whip is on. Something's wrong here. That's Farad antenna. That's external antenna. Shortwave. Long wave. Okay, I don't want to force this. I'm not getting anything there, which is not, I think something might have disaligned or misaligned over there when this thing came loose. That's almost spot on. It's almost like, you see, this thing is supposed to be, it's set for 220 in. I've got 230 in, and it can go as high as 240. So if I put this up to 240 on the Variac, that's 240 now. That's a bit high. And if we've got a selenium rectifier, we've got another problem there because it'll be dropping quite a high voltage anyway, and it's still too high. Let's see what the heater voltage is like. .8, 6.97. That's also a bit high, but remember that's at 240. So I'll put the mains to sort of the limit that it'll go. 7 volts, yeah, it's not a problem. I would like to see it a little bit lower. If I bring it down, bring the Variac down to 230, we're at 6.7. That's perfectly acceptable. 240 is sort of the top end. I've never got much more than that, but 230 is about the average. So that isn't a problem per se. But anyway, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a thorough look at the components on here, make sure that everything is still okay. As I said, this thing was very well done. It looks very well done inside. So I don't expect the person who restored this or recapped this to have done anything too unusual. But I'm going to do a checkup anyway, and I've got some cleaning to do. I've got to sort that out. Then I'm going to do the alignment. and see if we can get the AM bands back. It's a bit strange because he did say that he used to get halfway and then he wouldn't get any more, but I'm getting nothing, and I don't understand why. And as I said, it could be that. So I'm going to tackle that and get back to you when I've got something to report. Okay, folks, I'm back, and I do have something to report. These two guys here are two resistors. One of them was actually quite black, as you can probably see there. It's a 1K resistor. It was measuring sort of okay, but it was quite black. And the minute I put solder to the put the soldering iron to it, it broke off. I wanted to replace it anyway, and the other one did exactly the same thing. So I've got two resistors that I replaced. They're on the supply line. I don't know whether this had anything to do with the AM problem, but listen to this. This is shortwave.
That's very far from, and I think that's a good thing. What's been the White House response to this?
This is the big thing. The main task that's coming is basically Russia just.
Let's go to the other end of the dial. Medium wave.
Del mismo modo que Víctor, Julia, sus compañeros ponen sus palabras, ponen sus alguna de las noticias tecnológicas de los últimos días, hoy con la ayuda de David. Y Xavi Hernández ya tiene recambio en el banquillo.
Let's try long wave. There's my trusty beacon. Bloody brilliant, bloody brilliant. So this thing is back, and I really don't know whether this had to do with it. I did check a lot of other components, especially resistors. I trusted that the capacitors that were replaced were fine. I checked resistors. I also decided to recap or rather restuff the filter capacitors. That thing's got 2 by 50 microfarads and a 4 microfarad. I've put into the can 2 47s and 1 10 microfarad, which is perfectly fine. So the filter capacitors which had not been replaced have now been replaced. So we've got a nice clean supply. The voltage here is, I've got the Variac at 230. This is giving me 254. It's about 13 volts, 11 volts, 12 volts more than it should be. But I think that's nothing to get too worried about. I'm still considering replacing the selenium rectifier. If I do that, I'll put a resistor in and drop this a bit. But at the moment, I just wanted, my main focus was to get this, the reception back. It seems to be there. So I am happy. And I've also, once I get started with cleaning, you know me, this thing has been thoroughly cleaned. It's really in good shape. There's no rust at all. And guess what I found at the bottom of the box? This was in the box where this thing came in with a whole lot of bubble wrap, a lot of it. So this thing was lying at the bottom. So we've got that back. I've done no alignment whatsoever. I don't know whether this thing changed at all. Sometimes just by having the can moved, you change the alignment. So I will be doing an alignment on this. But for now, I am extremely happy. I've got the cleaning done. I've got the reception back. I have got a few other things to do. I want to check a few more things. I want to replace this. This has got that tape, the cloth tape. It's looking a little bit grubby. I think I'll replace those, make it look all nice and neat. I'm pretty happy with progress so far, so I think what I'm going to do now is break here. I'll come back with a final video where I do all the alignment and the chassis and so on. I'll be testing it some more, and if anything else comes up, I'll report back on the next one. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, click like, share, subscribe, and all that jazz. And if you want to support the channel directly, you can do so on Patreon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now, and stay safe.